Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I'm reviewing a pen from a brand I've not reviewed before. It is Andhand. So Andhand is a UK based company that started in, I think it was about 2021. And they make a couple of different sorts of pens, fountain pens, ballpoints, things like that, as well as other desk accessories. They say tools for the modern desk here. This is how the pen comes packaged, and what we're looking at today is the Method fountain pen in the stainless steel version. It comes in a couple of different versions. There's a brass, there's a black and brass, and then the stainless steel. So I'm going to talk about the parts and features of this pen. I'll do a writing sample and talk about some pros and cons. So we open up the box, and this is how the pen comes packaged. This is the Andhand Method in stainless steel. You can see Andhand just there on the side of the pen. It's a really nice, simple, sort of everyday carry pen that is has some really nice, interesting features and a superb build quality. So a couple of things I really like. I think the packaging is good, but what I really like is some of the information here in the booklet. It's simple things, but it's, things like this little paragraph here that although we understand cartridges are a good option for on-the-go working, we would always encourage use of the ink converter over disposable cartridges as the more sustainable option. Then there's good information about cleaning and maintenance and the different versions of the pen, and a little bit about the company and everything. So, as I said, this is a UK-based company. I think they're based in London, and all the design is done there. The pen, the pens, I should say, use a German Schmidt-made nib and converter, but all the manufacturing is done in China, and then shipped to the UK for assembly and quality control and all of that kind of stuff. Let's start with the features of the pen. So starting on the top is this little little dash symbol in there. That also works as unscrewing the top of the pen here, and you've got a cap liner and everything that is all attached through there. It's a very simple pen in a lot of ways. The cap is faceted with this octagonal, so 8 faces of this facet, which then merge into this cylindrical cap. Then the cap steps onto the barrel, very sort of smooth, very slight little groove there between the two, and then the barrel continues along and tapers to a nicely sort of beveled flat end there. It is a snap cap, and it's a beautiful snap cap. Like, it's nice and secure, absolutely secure, and just really fun to use. So when you snap that off, there's a nice smooth step down onto the section. It is a narrow section. It's not a particularly big pen in general, and you'll see in the size comparison. And then that tapers, and we get to the Schmidt-made number 5 nib. I have it in a medium here, and the plastic feed. It's a standard international cartridge converter. It comes with the Schmidt converter. I think this is a K1 from memory. And it's good. It doesn't come with a cartridge. They are very much about sustainability. And they have this sort of buy once philosophy. So these are not inexpensive pens, but they are beautifully made. And the idea of having them be sustainable with converters, makes it a really lovely option. And that is the basics of the pen. As I said, it's not a particularly big pen, but it's a nice size in the hand. It does post, and it posts pretty securely. The balance is, I think, better unposted, but you can definitely write with this posted. I think also the look of the pen when it is unposted is actually quite nice. I think the posting of it for me, it just kind of ruins the line of the pen. For the size comparison today, I have it alongside a range of pens. Firstly, the Lamy Safari, of course, so we're all familiar with how big it is. But each of these other pens is chosen for a specific reason. So firstly, I have the Wingback stainless steel fountain pen here. So yes, another stainless steel pen, also another UK-based brand, and also sort of another of those sort of EDC or everyday carry, pockety sort of pens, also clipless, no roll stop. I should say there is no clip or roll stop on the Andhand, and those facets, they don't operate as a roll stop because they're within the size of the diameter of the pen cap. It's just a nice design element. I think it's a beautiful design element. Then I have the big Idea Design pen here, which is another of these sort of smaller EDC pens, metal, constructed pens, beautiful in the hand, everything. But this one has the advantage of having a clip. In my personal opinion, I think a clipped fountain pen for EDC is a really big advantage. There's no clip on the wingback or the Andhand, perfectly functional pens. Of course, still great to carry, but the clip is a nice touch on the Big Idea Design. Then I have the Diplomat Aero here. Now, this has been in my collection for years and has had so much use, but the reason this is here is for the capping. It's got one of the most beautiful capping mechanisms of any pen. And I just want to highlight one little feature they have in common, and that is that bevel down onto the section there. So you can actually see there's a similarity in terms of like the shape and the profile, just different sizes, obviously. But that little bevel down there, allowing the cap to sit nice and snug against the barrel once it's sort of snapped in. It's a nice touch and a design element I really like in both pens. And then, of course, the Y Studio here, because I think that obviously having faceted designs and all those kinds of things, and the Andhand has a black and brass version, which is very similar sort of design, aesthetic, if you will, to the Y Studio here. But in terms of size, you can see that it sits on the smaller side. It's definitely much smaller than the Lamy Safari. It's bigger than the Wingback and the Big Idea Design. It's shorter than the Diplomat and the Y Studio. Unposted here, you see it's still on the smaller side. It's bigger than the Wingback and the Big Idea Design. They are not designed to be written with unposted. But for me, the Andhand actually is preferred unposted, as I said. And it's just a little bit on the smaller side than some of these. And once it's posted, you can see it compares quite favorably. It's sort of not too dissimilar in length to the Diplomat Aero. It's longer there than the Big Idea Design, and the Wingback and the Y Studio here doesn't post. So what are the dimensions of the Andhand Method fountain pen? Well, it's 125 millimeters when it is capped. So it's a nice sort of compact size, good for pocket carry, that kind of thing. It's 118 when it's unposted. So as I said, it is on the smaller side, but it's long enough to be used. And particularly for that on-the-go sort of quick writing that you might do with a pen like this, I think it's a perfectly good size. Posted, it comes in at 155. So it does come into a relatively decent length. That it's not a sharp edge on the cap, but you do feel that as you're writing. If you write with your fingers moving, I do feel that they're rubbing on my hand. It's not uncomfortable, but it is definitely noticeable. Around the middle of the section is about 8 millimeters, so it is slim, and that does taper even further. Around the widest point around the cap is about 12 millimeters. The Andhand Method weighs 48 grams in this stainless steel version. So it's a full stainless steel body, as I said. It's got a plastic cap liner and there's a converter and things like that, but stainless steel pen weighs 48 grams. 15 in the cap and 33 in the body. So when you do post it, you're putting, a third of the weight on the back there. It's not so bad, but at 33 grams and at this size, this is a very comfortable pen to use unposted. So we'll do the writing sample now, and we have the Andhand. And the name basically sort of refers to Andhand, so meaning the pen is like an extension of your hand. And this is the Method. This is stainless steel version with a number 5 Schmidt medium nib. The ink in this is Mont Blanc. Manganese orange. I really like this ink. This is about as yellow as I would go for like everyday writing, not professional use perhaps, but for everyday writing, it's very clear and legible on the page, on the yellower side of orange. Let's do some writing. So on this 90 GSM Clairefontaine paper, it's an exceptionally smooth writing experience. Schmidt nibs are becoming more and more reliable and well tuned. And a lot of that is also the, the manufacturer of the pen, who a lot of them sort of check the nibs and all that kind of stuff. But this one writes absolutely beautifully. I would say it's slightly on the finer side of medium, but it's still very clearly a medium. I'll just do some quick writing. There's zero issues whatsoever. I've not had a problem with this nib. Reverse writing, it's a little dry, very, very fine, not made for that. Not a flex nib, but these Schmidt nibs, you can sort of like just get a little bit of sort of variation if you're careful. No pressure versus pressure. There's just a little bit of variation there. And in terms of wetness, there's really nothing to be concerned about here. It is quite a wet writer. So for an everyday writer, like obviously, your ink and the paper you write on, these things will vary a little bit, but just in terms of sort of reliability, I think this is a really, really solid writer. Okay, so what does the stainless steel version of the Andhand Method cost? Well, it's a UK company, so it's £130. US price, as I checked it as I'm filming, is $150, and it's about 225 Australian. So not an inexpensive pen, but that ties into that buy once, sort of philosophy. You're buying something that's super well constructed. There's no, clips or anything to break. The cap liner is a plastic sleeve that, potentially could be replaced if there's an issue with that. It's got a German-made nib. They suggest a converter, which they provide, which are, once again, easily replaced if, you need to, if something goes wrong. But so rarely do converters properly fail on you. So buy once, it's a solid, robust pen, great for, as I said, that pocket carry, lots going for it. Not an inexpensive price point, but I think there's a lot of value in the simplicity of this pen. So what are my personal pros and cons? I only really have one con and then one if about it, okay? So the con is that there's no roll stop or clip. So it does, without too much effort, roll around, and there's no clip. So attaching it into your pocket and things like that is a little trickier. This is one of my things about EDC pens. I love carrying pens, and I love EDC sort of style pens, and this is sort of the upper tiers of that. But if it doesn't have a clip, it does make it a little trickier. So I end up carrying these in in my Lockbee wallet and things like that, where I've got slots for them and those kinds of things. It just, or in a pen sleeve, for instance. A pen with a clip of this design with some sort of clip element would be fantastic. The if is the size of it. It is on the smaller side. It has a narrower section. So if these are, concerns for you, if you're not into that, then this may not be, the exact pen for you, but Andhand have other pens as well. And I'm kind of hoping one day they introduce a larger version of this pen. I think it would be fantastic. It's a good, solid, robust pen, and I think a slightly bigger version, slightly wider section, maybe slightly longer, would be really, really great. But what are my pros? Well, firstly, it's compact and simple. There's not a lot that can go wrong with a pen like this. You've got a decent converter through to a decent nib unit. You've got, a good seal on the, with the cap liner and everything. I don't know if the camera will pick up any of that, but you can see it just in there. Nice little cap liner. For instance, I left this pen inked up in my pen case for 2 weeks when I had to go away for work. And when I came back, it just wrote first time. I've never had any issues with ink starvation, drying, nothing like that. It's a beautifully constructed pen in that way. I really like the weight of the pen in the hand. It's such a comfortable weight. You feel it there, but the balance is really great. And that unposted balance, the feel of that in your hand, really works for me. I don't mind this little step down. This is a narrower pen, a slightly smaller pen, so I actually end up using that as sort of part of where I, sort of hold the pen. It's very comfortable. Also, I just want to show this detail here, right? So if you unscrew the pen here, so you can get access, to the converter and everything, you see as it disappears into the bevel, not just against it. And it's such a nice fine detail. The precision manufacturing of this pen is wonderful. As I said, it's manufactured in China, but the quality of Chinese manufacturing is so high on these products. It's really, really fantastic. And then, of course, what's the point of a fountain pen if the nib doesn't write? This one writes just absolutely beautifully. Schmidt doing great things. It's a really wonderful pen. I've loved using it. I'm going to continue loving it. This is going to be part of my, carry rotation. Absolutely. I think it's a really, really fantastic pen. I have another pen from Andhand to review I think in a few weeks' time. I'll be looking at that. That's the Aspect. Very different pen. Lots going for that as well. So I will link to Andhand in the video description here, so you can check that and their range of other products out. I think it's a really cool brand, and interested to see where they go from here. So a big thank you to Andhand for providing this and the other pen for me to show you and to review here. If you'd like to support my channel, I'd love to hear from you. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. And any comments all help the algorithm. Let's keep this community thriving. So enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.